Hello everybody, it's Jay Britton here, and this is turn 6 of the game as LATC. So two of Thundering Over the Steppes crippled units died on the way to attack Mountains of Madness. Research and construction's complete. That only means Corpseman construction so far, and we don't have anyone that I'd be using to cast that. Over in Monarch Woods we took that with no problem using the Pikeneers. Over in New Mecria we also took that, again no problem using the Barbarian Heavy Horse. Mountains of Madness we took the first time, easy peasy, and then Abysia went and took it, and they actually did what I thought they wouldn't, but I think the guy playing them is relatively new, so he's got Warbred, who are often seen as a dubious choice. But anyway, we killed 3 of them, largely using our smite as it happens. So see here, very good. So obviously the arrows aren't going to do anything. 999 damage due to the banishment that we've got. Warbred don't have particularly high magic resist, so they're actually quite vulnerable to that. These guys have a fairly trifling bless of morale, HP and larger. I am not sure if they have gone for like an Illa Hat of Fate, maybe with some kind of dormant like chiller or something. That would be the kind of thing I would go for if I was playing LA Abysia, but who knows. This guy's one of the national heroes. I literally can't believe he's in some random expansion fight. You should be researching, but that's just my opinion. And then this is the profit they've got. Anyway, we lost the archers, lost pike footmen, but valiant general Thundering Over the Steppes got away, and he retreated to Wick Forest, which is great, because he could have retreated to, you know, here, and just died. So good job, that dude. He's going back to the capital. Recruitment for next turn is scads of Barbarian Heavy Horsemen, an Ancestor Smith, just for extra research. We have this guy going into Barrow with his troops. We've met Pythium, and expansion's continuing down this way. There is a temptation to attack Pythium straight away, but we're not that strong. In fact, in general, our position is looking a little bit sketchy as of turn 6. We've got what? 7 provinces? Looking at having 8 next turn. That's a little low, frankly. This is why I would normally get an expander, but so be it. We'll just have to see how we're doing. Pythium actually is only over here, so they might be relatively how can you put it, a tempting first war target. So probably actually go to Forbidden Fields instead of Barra. Our income is easily sufficient for what we need to do. So we are recruiting quite a lot of heavy horsemen and so on just around the place. We're getting a commander up here. He's going to go and gather them a little bit. We need a 2nd, 3rd, 4th army, whatever, just as soon as possible. These guys in here in the capital are going to be easily capable of fighting off. If this guy gets cheeky and tries to move in, we'll just smash them. It won't even be a contest. But we just don't really know what Pythium's going to be doing. So Pythium in JBBM has a variety of different cults, and actually what I'll do is I will save the game and quit, and then create you a game to sort of show what they do. This looks like a shuttle crash, right? You've got like 20 different commanders, 20 different troops. In practice you don't, and it's quite different from, for example, Dominion's Enhanced in that way, in that the way the change of cults works, which is how you get those different troops and mages in the capital, is that you use a series of spells. So the Fire and Earth one, which is used for the Dux Milites, who are great commanders, and the Tura Patris, who are good commanders and also can random H3, which makes them a good way to get thrones without necessarily needing to have a water province under your control, which can be a little bit dicey in LA, because you have very strong contenders for the season that age. So although ordinarily you could theoretically use Serpent Priest to summon Bishop Fish, may or may not be an option. Anyway, and their troop is the Aurochs, who is a trampling bull dude. You then also have I believe enchantment, yep, Cult of Death and Rebirth, which is the Water and Death one. So these guys get lictors, and they also get the Tenebrae Avatar as their main mage. He's 3 recruitment points, but potentially a Death 4 mage, which is pretty out there for the era, and also just decent at research, but quite often old aged, and yeah, 3 recruitment points rather than 2, so you're going to have less of them compared to other ones. And they also have Byaku's Canis. Byaku Cani can summon, using the Summon Allies command, 2 Shade Beasts per turn, so potentially they can kind of mass up troops in an alternative way there. The other thing about these dudes is that the Tenebrae Avatar is a potential beneficiary of the Katabasis spell that they were recently given. And then finally, well, not finally at all, sorry, pardon me. Second, finally, penultimately, you have the new Vestals for Eren Astral, which is over in Thaumaturgy, for Renew the Theurgy. And then they get a different kind of Theurg. They get ones with Fortune Teller back, and the Theurg Primus, who potentially can random into nature magic, which is a kind of different twist on how they formerly used to work. And then the final one is a Blood Cult, which has the Sanguine Plumbatator as its troop. These have a Bleeding Dart. They also have 2 standard and 5 poison resist, as do the Competense and the standards on the faction. I believe they're Palatina as well, yeah. And the Centurions as well. But yeah, their guys are the Eleuthario, who is a tax collector, healer, and blood and earth, and then the Publican, who is just a tax collector, defense organizer, healer. These guys are 2 recruitment points, which may seem a little bit high, but healer is always a very powerful ability, so I thought it was fairly standard. Anyway, none of these things cost any like gems. You just need a level 4 commander. The reason the Maze Vigil spell shows up is because of a problem that's caused by copying spells in Dominions that is unavoidable, but your guys can't cast it. It's basically a copy of the spell of Poptez can cast, which reduces Dominion and increases growth, as used on Mictlan, but Epoptez can't cast it. But nevertheless, it shows up on Pythium's spell list, because you can't restrict and not Venation a spell at the same time, and it causes all kinds of slightly irritating problems. But so regardless of all of that, sorry, that's a huge tangent. The way this works in practice, so if we just random a god, yeah, that's fine, she'll do. No, it won't. They need to be awake. So yeah, that's fine. The way this works is you can just cast it, and then instead of having the Sacred Swamp, you have something else. So you get an event for it, telling you what's happened. And as you can see, so Swamps of Pythium have been replaced by different Swamps of Pythium, where you can recruit a Hydra Hatchling still. And you can still use the Temple Trainer effect on certain Acolytes to also summon minor Hydras, and also in certain sites on the map you can also obtain them that way. Because I couldn't take that out, I thought, you know, just try and give everyone at least minor access to this stuff. But yeah, so the Eddy of Death and Rebirth replaces the Major Swamp. We still get 1 Nature Gem from here, so our income overall is still 4. The only exception to that is the Blood Cult, which has gold and resources instead. But as you can see, our recruitment's changed, so we don't have the Serpent guys anymore, and we don't have the large Hydra. We instead have kind of modernized Lictor, and the Tenebrae Avatar, and Byaku's Canis. There's nothing really else to it. So for next turn, we are going to get a new bunch of troops out, move these guys up here, move these guys down here. These guys are probably going to get rinsed by whatever province they move into. Potentially the Son of Fenrir actually comes in and kills these guys. That would be slightly frustrating, but so be it. Our research is going to be probably 6 turns away from construction 3 being out, which is a little bit long, but that's just the nature of the beast, really. And we'll have to see how we go from there. Our income is relatively strong. I don't know how opponents' actual expansion, like how rear-facing it is. So it could just be the case that they've expanded out really quickly this way, but you know, there's a lot around the capital that isn't taken, or they could all be in a relatively strong position, and we'll just have to find out. Vettiheim has a bunch of troops out. Possibly they'll just go into a war with guards straight away, or maybe they won't. It's kind of difficult to tell. Hopefully this all goes out well. I can't imagine we'll lose this fight, even if Pythium moves into it with their own stuff. There's a Serpent Priest out here, so they're spending at least some of their early gold on relatively expensive site searches, which I'd ordinarily say is a bad idea, but then I did it as well. So it's a bad idea that we're sharing. I haven't spoken to Atlantis yet. I haven't really spoken to anyone other than Abysia, who gave it the old, oh, we bumped, ha ha ha, chat. So so he's apparently going north, fine, whatever. I'll go south. If we need to fight these guys, we can. These guys, the Guardians of the Pyre, are fairly vulnerable to just getting smashed by lances, because their defense value is garbage. It's only 4, so they have a tower shield that cuts it some, but even taken together, they're not that strong. I think I'm going to call it there. I may have a chat to Pythium next turn. We need to try and work out who we're going to fight and who we're going to not fight, because otherwise we're going to be the ones getting coalitioned, you know. Anyway, after these guys are done, possibly we'll move down here towards Witchhaven. Maybe we'll move to 119. Depends what mood we're in. Vettiheim's fortification is only a regular castle, so only 500 wall integrity. If we could take this cave off of Pythium, we can potentially get some cave grubs out, and at about 13-14 siege strength each. You don't need all that many of them to bust into Vettiheim, but I don't think they're going to be that soft a target. I think Jaso just got annoyed and stopped playing them out of sheer infuriation of losing his PG in a kind of dumb way. Recruitment in terms of mercs, it's only the quick spears. They're okay, but they're not great. And I can't really afford to trim all that much of this, because we need these Ancestor Smiths as a potential early way to fight our enemies, and we could certainly do with the Barbarian Heavy Cav over regular Spearmen. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to call it there. Binge Britain, and goodbye. Hello everybody, it's turn 7 as game as LATC. So, the guy in Helmshire, the Inquisitor, they messed up. So, they didn't succeed. That's a shame, but so be it. This guy Noth is moving with 4 Barbarian Horsemen down to here, and there are 2 there at the moment, and there'll be another 3 next turn. We could probably make it 4. No, we can't. Recruitment points get in the way. What a shame. We have run into a Pythium-shaped wall here, so we may end up having to crush them. I don't know. It's certainly really tempting. One thing I realised is that I didn't... Ooh, tempting. Hobo crossbows are slightly nerfed in JBBM in terms of their cost, which also really sharply pushes up their recruitment points. I might change that in an upcoming patch. But yeah, that's an old change that's just kind of carried on. Anyway, one thing I realised that I didn't do is that I didn't explain very much about Abysia for anyone who's kind of new to LA. So LA Abysia is very much dependent on their assassins, I would say. They are really good though. So Slayer Worm is 17 hit points. With their larger bless, they're going to be looking at about 25 hit points. and 17 strength. You know, it's a lot. They'll have 15 attack as well because of the increase in attack value as well as strength. These guys will mess you up if you invade them, basically. And in JBBM, a big change to assassins generally is that the mundane assassins are all 2 recruitment points, and magical ones are 3, or it's basically +1 to their recruitment point cost. So Slayer Anathements are 3. Slayer Anathements are kind of busters, but Slayer Sanguine are very good because they've got the Athame, which is a fabulous weapon. Anyway, so their troops are not changed that much. I made Abyssian light infantry a little bit cheaper to help their more kind of standard strategies. In general, Abyssian things are broadly more reasonably priced, like when they're actual Abyssians instead of all being, you know, 20 gold, which is a little unreasonable. Their magic's good. In general, blood magic is more expensive, especially early on. But for Abysia, they're like Hellbred stuff, Hellspawn, I think it's called. Infernal Breeding is the actual name of the spell, but the things it creates called Hellspawn. That is not more expensive, at least not yet. And stuff that produces really high quality. So, yeah, nothing more really to say than that. And Sacred's going to be a relatively good fighting them because they're going to be resistant to fire to at least a moderate degree. But regular troops, unless they kind of smash them on the first charge, which is not impossible by any means, they're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage compared to some of their peers. Well, it looks like the most heavy cav we're going to get out, at least relatively early, is about 15 at the capital. That's pretty good. It could be better, but it's pretty good. Some ways we could improve that without too much effort are casting the ever unpopular but quite useful Stone Lions, which is a relatively late on buff in, I believe, enchantment. Which basically, yeah, here we go, Lion Sentinels. Cost 30 Earth Gems, adds additional orders to your province, and also provides some handy defenders. They're not that handy, but they are present in fort defenses. I'm confused as to why Atlantis has not come south and taken this yet, but I don't know what to do with that confusion. I think I'm just going to go to 173 with these guys. We need to have a chat with Pythium about what's going on, because Pythium's not a bad fight for us early on. Their troops are relatively hard to mass compared to ours, although they're very high quality. But because we're all cavalry, and so we all have like decent lance strikes and so on, we match up pretty well against Pythium, and so we shouldn't have too many problems. My expansion is feeling a little bit anemic, and I'm wishing I'd have taken an Expander God, but that's sort of by the by. You know, you can't reverse your actions in the world, can you? That's just how it goes. What are we going to do about this then? So we'll have in total 5 Barbarian Heavy Cav, couple of Barbarian Cav. 5 Barbarian Heavy Cav can honestly probably take this, so long as the commander themselves doesn't get killed, which is possible. So I'll probably have the Barbarian Cav on Guard Commander, just to make sure this guy's okay. Get this guy set up with the standard hold 5 and stay behind troops, press Control 1. Every single game you're going to want that order. I wish Ilwant would let us say scripts across games, because that one is like the most bog standard one that everyone uses, I think. After we go into 119, we may end up going west into Witch Haven. I still can't see who the guy to our south is. Let's see who it might be. Who haven't we spotted yet? So we know about them, we know about them, we know about them as well. We haven't seen Kalum, Katis, Pangaea, although all of those expand relatively well. Jomon, Oralm, so those would be the kind of kind of folk I would expect. Maybe it's who knows? Maybe like Agartha is there. I don't know. How many far away are we looking? 3? That's not implausible. It's not implausible. Or they could be there. Who knows? That's a really hazardous spot to be in. No, they won't be there because Atlantis is there. Yeah, it's probably Agartha over in 87 or 107. I'm not sure which. Probably 87. Anyway, that's enough murmuring about that. How are we going to win this game then? So, thrones nearby. We have one with a bunch of sorceresses and those dudes in. This one is like just relatively high. Those are the more armoured archers, so that's not going to be a super convenient fight by any means. Oh, there's Ulm. Okay, so we know where Ulm is as well. I wonder if we can get a fight between Ulm and Atlantis going. Because Atlantis probably doesn't want to end up fighting vampires. And Ulm never really wants to fight Atlantis either, but, you know, one of these nations is going to have to fight, because we don't want everyone collapsing on us, which could happen. I mean, we have this Silverham province in the way of us and Ulm, so in that respect we're relatively safe. They'll probably go more in for Pythium in terms of likely expansion paths, but who knows? Who knows? I think Vettiheim, if we had this cave, Vettiheim would be just a cinch, but because we don't, and there aren't any other caves that are particularly convenient to take, we're going to be running into some problems, I think. Anyway, I'm going to be scouting into Abysia to see how their troop build-up looks like, because we may end up warring against them. We had a quick chat where he was all, you know, being bolshy and say, let's call our borders here. It's like, okay, fine. But if we just go into them with a bunch of lances, we can potentially just smash their nation quite easily. But the issue then, of course, is the assassins. And I don't know how hip to assassins this guy is. I think this guy's relatively new. His name's Sleeping Pills, I think. And I've never seen him play. And given that he was using his like assassin Holy 3 hero just in fights, I'm not sure how much he actually values them, but I guess we'll find out in time when we eventually go to war, because I can see that happening in the near future. But for this turn, we're only going to be grabbing one province for now. Hopefully next turn we can take plausibly 3. That would get us up to like what? Got 12 provinces on turn 9, which is not great. If we can take this one here and then take Melma, we'll be looking a bit happier, but Atlantis being there is always going to be a bit of a bugbear, because anything on this coast is more or less going to be theirs, and anything over here as well is going to be a little inconvenient. They also have a really convenient spot for producing cave grubs, which they can actually sail using the anchor cock. So potentially they could be sailing into Vettiheim before we know it. So we may need to engineer some kind of conflict against Atlantis sooner rather than later. But for now, I think I'm just going to call it here. I hope I'm doing the right thing. Do you ever get that feeling when you're playing Dominions? I don't know. We'll call it there, and thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Goodbye.